Hi, everyone. I'm Terrie Ellerbee, your host for this edition of Piedmont People. Piedmont People is a podcast that tells the stories of what makes Piedmont special. It's students, faculty, staff, alumni, and supporters. It's the people of Piedmont that make us great. In fact, there's nowhere else we'd rather be. And that's something of a tease for our very first guest, Brett Loftis, the voice of the Lions. Brett is majoring in sports communications and is going to graduate in May. Brett, thank you very much for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all for having me. It's quite the honor.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what Dr. Dale Van Canfort told me. DVC, we're going to call him DVC from now on. He said that you are one of the hardest workers he's seen. So I'm going to tell you what you have been called by parents, Piedmont parents. They think you're amazing, awesome, and I am reading a little bit here, the absolute best. And that was on a private Facebook page for parents. And they were so appreciative of what you did for them during the pandemic seasons. It may have been the first time they weren't able to come watch their student play. And you made them feel like they were there. And they so appreciate you and love you for that. So let's start with what sports mean to Piedmont University.
I think they mean everything. I mean, you look at our own campus, our undergrad students. And I mean, with the COVID year, now we have graduate students playing sports, but just our undergrad students, I think they told us a statistic freshman year, and we lived in Purcell, which is the freshman dorm hall. 9 out of 10 students living in Purcell with us were student athletes. And I think it gets up to a point with upperclassmen, which y'all could find our statistics. But, I mean, it's like 7 out of 10 undergrad students that live on the Demers campus are student athletes. And it's like most of this campus is concentrated with athletics and student athletes. And if you don't really play a sport here, it's not that you're kind of left out. We have a great theater department, which is over here in the Swanson Center. We have other stuff on campus as well. But when you come to Piedmont, more times than not, you're coming to play a sport here. And obviously, we're Division III. So you're not coming here for athletic money. You're not coming here for scholarship money. You're coming here because you still want to continue playing the sport that you love, and you want to play it at a high level, and a high academic level is here in the classroom as well. So it means everything, this school. I don't think if we had as great athletics as we did, we wouldn't get the high character people in the classroom and on the athletic fields that we do.
So let's bring it back around to you and talk about when you were little. And we have to preface this by saying that your grandfather used to race on dirt tracks.
He did.
And
yes,
your
ma'am.
father is a huge NASCAR fan.
Yes.
So the races were always playing in the background.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were 3 or 4 years old maybe, and you were
was.
talking, and your mom thought you were doing one thing, but you were actually doing something else. So tell us about that.
Yes, ma'am. So my grandfather, he actually raced up in Anderson, South Carolina, which is right up the road, and that's where my dad's from. And my dad grew up, obviously. My grandfather didn't race that long, but my dad grew up going to NASCAR races. He'll like this when he watches this. He went to every Coca-Cola 600 up in Charlotte from 1982 to 1992.
Wow.
He was at the first one they ran in the evening time in 1992 when Charlotte Motor Speedway finally got lights. Loves to tell me that story. But, my dad loved NASCAR. And then, obviously, once I was born, I went to my first NASCAR race. I wasn't even potty trained yet at 2 years old. And took me to Darlington. And he told me, he said, because that's when Darlington still had 2 races, he said, we'll bring you back when you're potty trained if you are in the fall, because this was a spring race. And sure enough, I was potty trained in the fall, and we came back. So racing's always been in my blood. But I used to have a speech impediment when I was little. And my mom thought I was preaching, because I would just go to town on this like little Kites microphone. I don't know what it was. It was like one of those green and purple looking things, and you just talk into it. And then one day she heard me say Earnhardt, and she was like, "No, he's not preaching. He's talking about NASCAR." So that's kind of how that originated. Yes, ma'am.
You call all the sports for the Lions now.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? The
That's
voice
correct.
of the Lions. You said you couldn't be the voice of the Lions unless you did that.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
But you were almost literally born a baseball fan.
Yeah.
Tell me about your dad's favorite pitcher and when you were born.
Greg Maddux, actually on my keychain here. We'll pull it out. I got my keys on me. Greg Maddux, if you actually see that in the camera, that's my dad's guy. That was his guy. I mean, he came with the Braves in 1993. My dad followed him when he was the Cubs, came up in the majors in 1986. I mean, that is my dad's guy. So I keep that on there really to remember my dad more times than not. My dad's my hero, and I keep that on there. But Greg Maddux pitched an 8-inning game, and he won on May 18, 2001. May 19, 2001, at 1:10 in the morning, I was born. So Greg Maddux has always been around, and the Braves have. I mean, I was born into a Braves family. My dad, again, this just really starts with my dad, my love for sports, and then my personality is my mom, which I'll see on the microphone in here. That's my mom. But my dad, he loves to tell me the story. You know, we'd watch Sanford and Son on TBS, and then 7 o'clock the Braves played, and that's when they were terrible in the 80s. I mean, they made it one playoff appearance, two, from 1966 to 1990, 1969 and 1982. I mean, they were terrible. First came to Atlanta, but that started my great-grandma, his grandmother. Grew up watching the Braves. They'd go to Braves games, living up in Anderson. It's not that far to come down this way. So it really started with that, and he just being a Braves fan. So this year was huge for us, and in 1995 for my dad as well, for the Braves to win a world championship, and just how much they really mean to our family. That's a lot of dates that my mom and dad went on to Turner Field and the old Fulton County Stadium, so that means a lot to our family. Yes, ma'am.
The Loftis family, terribly excited about the World Series win.
Yes, ma'am. We went. We got to go, and that was pretty cool.
You
Yes,
did?
ma'am.
That's great.
Yes, ma'am.
It's like, can we say Mom and Dad's names?
Brandon and Heather Loftis. Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful
The real heroes. Yes, ma'am.
So you listen to the Braves games your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Big fans, the family, the whole family. So they're broadcasters. How have they influenced what you do now?
Everything. I mean, you hear them every single night. Coolest thing for me, the pregame host they had for many, many years, his name was Jerome Jurinovich. He did the Hawks. He did the Braves. He just retired just this past season going into the playoffs. He actually followed me on Twitter, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Jerome Jurinovich, he's not really like a household name, but I know him. I watched him on Braves Live pregame, postgame all the time. But the play-by-play guys, I mean, Skip and Chip Carey, obviously, Joe Simpson, color commentator, still on the radio, Don Sutton, who passed away recently, just all those guys, and just, you know, Skip Carey, I think, really has the biggest influence on me when I go back and listen to him, because I'm very passionate. And, you know, a lot of people like to call me a homer here at Piedmont. You know, that's fine. You call me what you want to call me. But Skip Carey was. Larry Munson had a really big impact on me, the former voice of the Bulldogs. You go back and watch his stuff. I mean, he was sitting up there, and you're not supposed to turn into a cheerleader per se when you're doing this, but you got to be happy about your team. You got to be happy about your university succeeding. I mean, you go back and watch the 1980 UGA Florida game, and Larry Munson is Sydney run down the sidelines, and he just broke his chair. Like, that's what I try to recreate, or not recreate, but I get chills when I watch that. When you watch Skip Carey call the final out of the 95 World Series, you get chills about that. And I guess for me, that broadcasting style is not something I want to recreate, but something I kind of dabble into, and something that I really enjoy, because it's like, if I can create the emotion that those guys created for me, and me being 20 and both of them, you know, passed away early on in my childhood, think about, you know, what I can create, or what, you know, I've been given a platform to create for generations and generations of Piedmont Lions, and hopefully beyond that. Yes, ma'am.
That's great. Okay, we're going to come back to DVC again. He told me that what he likes most about you is that you're always wanting to improve your skills. And I guess what I want to talk about is your work ethic. I want you to tell us how you prepare to do the broadcasting, and also what you do maybe after the broadcast to ensure that the next time around will be even better.
Yes, ma'am. I watch a lot of like old sports documentaries. And I remember watching one time about Emmitt Smith. He's the all-time leading rusher in the history of the NFL. And he said, you know, I never was the fastest guy. I never was the biggest guy. I was never going to run over people. But he said that nobody was going to outwork him. Nobody was going to work harder than he was. And, I mean, he's, you know, arguably the greatest running back in the history in the NFL. And I've kind of taken that to my broadcast. You know, I might not, you know, I do feel like I have a lot of sports knowledge, and, you know, God blessed me with a lot of what I do have. He blessed me with, you know, my character. He blessed me with my voice, because he could take it away at any time. He blessed me with my energy. But I have to work hard with that. You know, talent only takes you so far. You have to work hard. And going in preparation for a broadcast, I would usually spend probably nearly an hour, maybe 2 hours, researching other team, because I know my own team, obviously, and then spend 1 to 2 hours, and then I'll spend probably 30 minutes just researching the last game that Piedmont played. And then, because I've already went back and watched the film from the last game, or I might watch some more tidbits, I go in the arena. I try to get there around 30 to 45 minutes early, maybe an hour sometimes, sit down, do some more prep work, and then just kind of decompress. I just sit there, and I won't really talk to anybody. That's very few times I'm quiet in live. I just kind of sit there and just get in the zone, and then the game starts, do the game, everything, post game, whenever we get it posted on YouTube, I'll go back and watch, if not the whole game, at least 3/4 of it, and look what I did well here. And if we had a crucial moment in the game, did I do that well? If the referees weren't as good as I thought they should have been, did I criticize them too much, or was it correct? Just stuff I kind of break down, and I make mental notes to myself. And it's just that preparation I feel like is hopefully going to separate me from the rest of the field. But that's what you have to do, hard work. And it's not what people see on the camera, it's what people don't see behind it. And that's what really separates anybody in any profession, not just me in broadcasting, but anybody in any profession. What you do when the eyes are not on you, for one, represents your character and who you are as a person, but for two, will separate you when the eyes are on you. And I stand by that. Yes, ma'am.
In a lot of ways, you prepare just like athletes do. You also told me when we talked back in November that you make it a point to get to know these student athletes, and sometimes you know their families. How does that make a difference when you're broadcasting?
Well, you can't let it, I guess, make you have a bias towards that athlete. No athlete, you have a bias towards them. You might see an athlete, for an example, there's a couple of sophomores or a few sophomores on the men's basketball team this year. I know them personally, know their families personally. So when I see them get in the game and see them get a bucket or see them have a big-time performance, man, that makes me gleam. That makes me so happy because I know where they came from. But when I'm on the broadcast, still got to be professional about it. But on the same sense, I know it sounds kind of contradictory. You want to know these guys and these families, or the lady lines that we have. You want to know their families because you want to know who you're broadcasting for. You want to have that emotional connection with them. And it's not to create a biases to this, specific student athlete, but it's just to know, hey, I'm not going to sit here and say anything rude about you or mean about you. Like, it's really a professional relationship in a sense. And, that's what we have to build in order to continue on in life. DVC, you mentioned him. He talks about building professional relationships all the time. So that's really what I look at it as, because I don't feel like you can fully broadcast without knowing your team personally. You mentioned Skip and Chip Carey and all the Braves announcers. They fly on charter planes with them. And there was actually a time when Skip Carey was criticizing the Braves really bad during the losing streak, and they said, "You can't fly with us." And you can't really do that. You have to create that professional relationship, and it's not about being politically correct. It's about being honest most of the time, but you can't really, I guess, make your own players mad, because that's not going to turn out well. But it is about having that relationship. Yes, ma'am.
That's great. So you mentioned DVC again. We're going to bring him up again because he said that your best work is yet to come, and I think anyone who knows you believes that. And what I want you to do now is tell us actually what is next for you. What have you got lined up for after graduation?
I'm moving to Wisconsin in the middle of May. It's a collegiate summer league called the Northwoods League. Probably besides the Cape Cod League, because collegiate summer league baseball is probably one of the most prestigious leagues. Wisconsin Rafters is the name of the ball club. Got in contact with a lot of the guys, a lot of D1 talent, some D3 talent, USA South talent actually going up there as well. So I'll be the play-by-play guy for them this summer on the radio, and I'll also be the director over media relations. And it is an internship, so it's a summertime thing, and then we'll see where we go after that. Hopefully it'll leave a job in a minor league baseball or some sort of professional baseball. So that's what I hope. Yes, ma'am.
That's really exciting.
It
We're all
is.
so proud for you.
I've never been there, so that's what I told him when I did the interview. I said, listen, I have experience broadcasting. That's not the issue. I love baseball. Mm-hmm. I've grown up on it literally since the day I was born. But I've never been to Wisconsin, and I'm excited about that if y'all do hire me. And sure enough, we'll be moving to Wisconsin for 3 months, so I am excited about it.
Well, you probably like cheese.
I'm a big cheese guy. I am.
Okay, well, ultimately, what is your goal for life?
It's got to be the radio play-by-play guy, the Atlanta Braves. It has to be. I'd love to do some NASCAR work too. It doesn't seem like a lot of people want to go dabble in that, but I'd love to go work for the Braves or any professional sports team for that matter and be their radio play-by-play guy in the big three of football, baseball, or basketball. That would be phenomenal. But yeah, I know I might have to move around a lot, but that would be the dream job, to come live in the greater Atlanta area one day, hopefully, bring me back to Atlanta and be the play-by-play guy for the Atlanta Braves. Now that would be something to bring you to tears right there. Yes, ma'am.
We'll be listening. Wouldn't it be interesting if you did go into NASCAR, how that would be full circle?
Yeah, that would be quite funny. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so your famous call, where else would you rather be? Let's take a listen to that, and then you can tell us how it was similar to a World Series play that you saw.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell us about that moment. You said it was a little chilly out. Fans were back. So let's take a listen to that.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Ballstead just puts his bat out there. Nobody's coming first. He muffs it. The runner's coming home. They catch him in the oh, he dropped the ball. He dropped the ball. The runner scores. The Lions are back in it. Tie ball game. 3-3. Heath Waldrop scores the tying run. Goodness gracious alive. Where else would you rather be?
So, Brett, we've actually named a segment of our podcast, Where Else Would You Rather Be? After your famous call. That's going to get more famous around here, probably. But tell me about that call, what that night was like.
It was very cold. It always is when baseball season starts here. It's the opposite of what you think in the summertime with the popcorn and hot dogs. We're up there drinking hot cocoa and bundled up in about 3 or 4 layers. And it was a great ball game, nationally ranked Adrian College, which come back here on March the 2nd this year. Y'all make sure y'all come out to that game. It's always a good ball club. Our 2 assistant coaches actually went to Adrian on the baseball team, for the baseball team. But it's cold. Had the 2 aces on the mound. Sam Carpenter, our 5th-year senior last year, pitched to Jim, 7 innings, 2-run ball. And we go to extra innings. Their ace did the same thing. Get to the 11th inning, they score in the top of the 11th. And I'm like, man, got to go out like this, huh? God, I've been out here in the 30-something odd degree weather, and we're going to lose by the score of 3-2 in the 11th inning. 11th inning, we get 2 outs right off the bat. I mean, and then we get 2 guys on. And Carter Ballstat, or probably our best player last year. He's our 2-way guy. Actually, preseason D3 All-American. Him and his brother for this year. Him and his brother are only 2 guys in the history of the program to ever do that. So Probably our best player comes up to the plate, and he hits a kind of a weak grounder to first. And so we got guys on first and second with 2 outs. So naturally, the pitcher's going to cover first. That should be the end of the ball game. So the guy muffs it at first, and I'm like, oh, we might have a chance here. So we got Heath Waldrop, one of the fastest guys, coming second or third. He's coming around third at this point. Pitcher gets over there. Carter's a pretty fast guy, beats out the ball down the first baseline. The pitcher realizes it kind of has an blank moment and is like turns around, and he's like, I got to throw it home. So he throws it home, and Heath's like halfway down the line. The catcher, who was actually one of the very best in the country last year, catches it. But he doesn't. The ball's on the ground. Heath Waldrop slides in, tie ball game. Where else would you rather be? We go crazy. The fans, first game with the fans back. Did end up losing the game in 14 innings, 4-3. But that was just crazy. And then Danielle, who's in the studio with us, our sports information director, the best in Division III, by the way. I say that all the time, Danielle Percival. She comes up to me after the game, and she's like, Brett. I'm like, did I say something wrong? You know, what's wrong? She's like, you might want to check your phone and get on Twitter. It's like, she never told me this before. I mean, we put clips and stuff on there throughout all the games. And I check it, it's got like 10,000 views, and it's been like an hour. And I'm like,
wow. It's
like podcasts and just people talking about me. And I'm like, this is crazy. I have to go tell my girlfriend, Caitlin House, who's very big, a rock, why I get to do everything I get to do. I want to shout her out too. And everybody's excited. And that was a pretty cool moment. Kind of helped jumpstart me there. And obviously, y'all have taken it and ran with this segment, which I'm extremely humbled by. It was a really cool moment, but honestly, I just would have to thank everybody for putting me in that moment and thank Carter Ballstat and Heath Waldrop for scoring and on that play, and I guess the Adrian guys, no offense to him, for making a couple errors there, but and just thank God for putting me in that moment and let me have the chance to be behind the microphone, because that was one of those moments you could never recreate. I don't think if you tried. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, your enthusiasm is just catching. It's so exciting to listen to, even after the fact, even this long after the fact. So in this segment, we're going to ask, where else would you rather be? We want to know your why there's nowhere else you'd rather be. So what is yours, Brett?
Well, I guess we kind of related back to y'all, the people at Piedmont. That's the reason I'm here. Mentioned DVC, I think he's a big part. I came on my visit spring break of 2019, which would have been Piedmont spring break of 2019. I actually missed baseball practice, come on my visit, and DVC sold me on the place, told me about people that had came from here, came out of this program and the mass communications program. He sold me on it because my original plan was to go to Clemson, and I got waitlisted there. Ended up getting in, but I didn't want to go after that and came down here and fell in love with the place, and that's the reason I've stayed. The people here is just unbelievable. I mean, you know, they don't just look at you as a number on the page. And I think a lot of people, you got a lot of these big schools, you know, you're just a statistic. You're just the guy that made the dean's list, or you're just the person graduated with a 3.5, or you get your ring, or whatever, whatever. And if you like the big college experience, that's not to, you know, whatever. You know, that's not to say you shouldn't enjoy it. That's you. It's not me, though. I always thought I was a big college guy in high school, but, coming to a small school like this, very, family-like atmosphere. And I think that's big for me because, really it was just me, my mom, my dad growing up. It was us three. That's who it was. That was my rocks. It was my people. And, for me to get to come down here and now you have a big family, because I didn't talk to my extended family for a very long time and for a large part of my life. It's, like I said, it's my mom and my dad. They raised me, and that's not pity on me or anything. It's just how I was, And to come down here, it's just incredible to see how everybody really cares about you and how they want to see you succeed. It's not, if you succeed, I'm not succeeding, or if you succeed, we all succeed. And I think the thing at Piedmont is that's why any freshman or incoming, junior or senior in high school that would consider coming here, it's the biggest thing I could tell them. They care about you. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you happy. And when you all succeed at Piedmont, when you succeed, we all succeed here. And that's the biggest thing for me. And that's why I hold a special place in my heart for as long as I go. And far in this life as I go, Piedmont is a big reason because of that. Yes, ma'am.
And everyone at Piedmont will be following. We'll be following you, and we'll be so proud of you every step of the way. We just can't wait to see what you're going to do.
I can't wait either. It's going to be a journey. I'm ready for it. Yes, ma'am.
So, Brett, before you go, we want to ask you one more favor, and that's if you would mind taking a picture with me. We're going to get photos of all of our guests to add to our set backdrop here, so we'll always remember all the people who came to help us with this. Would you mind taking a quick photo?
Let's do it. All right.
It's going to be so famous I'll be able to show my grandchild. Oh, look, he's almost here. Look! It's Brett Loftis. Thanks again, Brett. And thank you for joining us for Piedmont People. Learn more about Piedmont and the people who make it great at piedmont.edu.